In this tutorial, I just want to show you how you can use the count A function and the offset function to be able to make sure that you will always get the very last row of data in Excel. So let's just say, for example, you have a table of employees and their sales by dates, with the dates going down, right? And you want to make sure that you have a formula that will always say, hey, I want to pull the very last row of data, and as that would be the most recent date. So to do this, you can use the offset function, which is just basically offset it to the bottommost row, and you can nest the count A function inside of the offset function to be able to say, okay, how much I want to offset? Well, I want to offset this number amount. I want to offset this amount. So to show you what I mean, here's an example with Mary. Let's say we want to do this with Mary. So equals offset, open parentheses. Now the first argument in this function is reference. So what cell do we kind of want to use as the anchor that we want to offset from? Well, for me, I like to use it as close as possible to where I'm actually trying to look up the data, or offset to. So for this one, I'm just going to click on the name Mary. Now, comma for the next reference, how many rows do you want to offset? Well, we want to offset rows that go down to the very bottom of the table, right? So this is where the count A function will come in. Count A, and then open parentheses. And if you have an account A, will just basically go through and count the number of any values, so text and numbers. If you want to do just numbers, use the count function instead. Just as a small note. But here, then we want to hide this range. In this instance, you want to make sure that we highlight more data than we actually need, just because as new data comes in, it will still work. Columns. Well, we don't want to offset any columns, so we're just going to put 0. And now the next two arguments are optional. I like to use them, but you can tell they're optional because they are in brackets. So what's the height of what we're returning? Well, that would be one cell. What's the width of what we're returning? That would be 1 cell. And then close parentheses. And then, as you can see, Mary, the most recent data, is 391. And now, as you can see, if we copy stuff, so let's just say we copy this, and this is just an example, so it's just values. Let's just say we change this to, I don't know, 500. As you can see, it adjusts to be 500. So we can also use this to look from left to right, instead of from bottom to top, which is very useful if our data is kind of set up differently. So to kind of give you an example of which is to call it 1228 2022 as an example, we can use same kind of logic, but instead of having it in the rows argument of the offset function, we're going to have it in the columns argument for the count A function. So equals offset. The anchor in this example is going to be the dates. We don't want to offset any rows, but we do want to offset columns to the rightmost column. So counts A, go all the way to the right. It's like, again, selecting more values than what we would like to, just so that way we continue to work. And then 1, comma 1. In a set, because the last arguments are optional, as you can tell by how they're in brackets, but we want to have to return something with the height of 1 and a width of 1, so I like to use those. And then close parentheses. As you can see, 440. And as you can see, 440, which is this value right here. And this is great because I just say we type in, I don't know, random 5. It's going to find the rightmost value. A couple thoughts on some ways that you can consider to improve this formula. So as you can tell, this is a little bit manual in a sense that it goes through and, I'm just selecting one specific column, right? You can maybe consider, so as you can see, instead of having like the reference being just a set cell, for example, you can consider using like some sort of an index match or VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP to be able to kind of have this find the column for you instead of having to select the column yourself. It's a little bit out of the scope of this video, but just kind of a thought and something you can do to make it a little bit more dynamic. Also, a couple last things. So We can also have it, instead of looking from top to bottom, you can have it go, instead of getting the bottommost row of something, you can also get the topmost row, and by multiplying the count a function by -1. And the reason why is because that will make it to where from offsetting down to its offsetting up. So what I mean by this is you can, for example, say equals offset reference. I just say again for Mary, you want to offset the count a for rows. So we basically want to offset the number of rows, but we're going up instead of down to find the topmost row instead of the bottommost row. So count a, select a few more cells than you might need, and then multiplying it by -1 to look up instead of down. We don't want to offset any columns, and then heights, and then 1 for the heights, 1 for the width, because what we're returning as 1 by 1. And you can see returns Mary. Similar thought process as well too. If we want to go from like instead of offsetting to the right, if we want to offset to the left to find the leftmost column, so just say we wanted to, hey, we wanted to find the leftmost column of the data, we can do offset. The reference being the cell right next to the cell that you want to start offsetting in. The kind of the anchor that you want to offset from. The rows is going to be 0 because you don't offset any rows. And then to get the leftmost column, we want to offset by counting the number of columns to the left. Again, selecting more columns than we need. Multiplying it by -1, so offset to the left instead to the right. And then again, 1, 1. Because one turns out something that has a height of 1 and width of 1, and then close parentheses. As you can see, it's in date format. It's a number format, but now it's in date format. As you can see, it got 1230, which is the leftmost column. And one thing you can consider doing too is you can also mess with the height and the width argument in the offset function to kind of change how you return it. Such as say we wanted to, such as say for example, we wanted to return not just the bottommost value from Mary, but also the one to the right as well too. So we can have the width argument be 2. And as we can see, it is returning not just the value from Mary, but also the value for James as well too. As you can see, it's 514. We can also do -2 if we want to return the value to the left. So as you can see, it's returning 390, the other one from Mary. So too. Similar kind of thought process for the date. If we were so just say we wanted to return a value for the rightmost column, but something that was also above or below the value. So instead of 440, maybe 443 as well too. To do that, we can do by -2 because it will then give above value. So you can see from this, it goes 443 and then the 440. And then we can also, for example, do 2 instead of -2, which will get the value in the column in the row that we're searching in, but also the one below it. So that's it. I hope you found this tutorial to be helpful. If you did, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.